Saturday Night Fever is a 1977 film directed by John Badham that combines drama and dancing to create one of the most iconic movies of the last half of the 20th century. It stars John Travolta as Tony Manero, a 19-year-old Italian kid living in Brooklyn in the neighborhood of Bay Ridge with his parents and sister. Tony also has an older brother played by Martin Shakar, who has recently quit the priesthood. He works at a paint shop and often comes back home and sees his family stress about things like money and his father's lack of work.
I got more pork chops, more spaghetti.
What do you mean you got more pork chops? I'm out of work.
Yeah, well, as long as we got $1 left, we eat good in this house.
What?
Yeah, I might even get a job myself.
Like hell you will. 25 years in construction work, I always brought him a paycheck. One pork chop! One!
Hey, Frank!
It's disgusting, right? Sick. We just wash the hair.
Yeah.
You know, I work on my hair a long time, and you hit it. He hits my hair.
Tony's only escape from this disillusionment is that every weekend when he goes to a discotheque called 2001 Odyssey, he shines as king of the dance floor, receiving attention and admiration that he is unable to find in other aspects of his life. Tony also hangs out with 4 close friends from his neighborhood, Joey, Double J, Gus, and Bobby C. They often goof around on the Verrazano Bridge, which has personal significance to Tony as it represents a symbol of escape from his despondent life. Another close friend of his is Annette, played by actress Donna Pescow, a girl from his neighborhood who is infatuated with him despite his lack of attraction or interest in her. Tony agrees to be dance partners with Annette for an upcoming contest, but his attention soon shifts to a woman named Stephanie, played by actress Karen Lynn Gorney.
Well, I mean, you was looking at me and I was looking at you, remember?
But what is this? I look at a guy longer than a millionth of a second. Already he gets delusions of grandeur.
You know what you are? I'm gonna tell you what you are.
I bet it begins with a C. Mr. P.
Oh, fine. That's...
Slightly older than Tony and working at a public relations firm and moving to Manhattan, Stephanie is stuck up and pretentious, believing that Tony is immature and headed nowhere.
Okay, listen. I like it. We could dance together. That's it. We could just dance together and nothing more, nothing personal. I don't want you coming on to me.
Despite rejecting his romantic advances and feeling superior, she accepts his invite to be his partner in the dance competition. Feeling the stresses of his Brooklyn lifestyle wearing him down, his brother, having just left the priesthood, persuades Tony to pursue his dreams of dancing no matter what the rest of the family or his friends think. Now, this film was an absolute smash, unbelievable hit upon its release in December of '77. It grossed $237 million on a budget of only $3.5 million. And in 1977, a movie ticket only cost about $2. The soundtrack included 6 hit songs by the musical group The Bee Gees: Jive Talkin', You Should Be Dancin', How Deep Is Your Love, More Than a Woman, Stayin' Alive, and Night Fever. Yvonne Elliman had a hit single on the soundtrack called If I Can't Have You. This album is one of the best-selling movie soundtracks in history. Selling over 50 million copies, it is one of the best-selling albums in all of history, and up until the release of Thriller by Michael Jackson in 1982, this was the best-selling album of all time. The dancing is fantastic, and John Travolta ran 2 miles a day and danced for 3 hours daily to get ready for this film. What's funny is I remember when this movie was re-released in theaters in 1997 for its 20th anniversary, Travolta was a big Pulp Fiction face-off action star, and many people would scoff at this disco dancing movie. Now, they look back at just how great his moves were and how much time and effort he put into the role. The character of Tony Manero, by the way, was originally going to be named Vincent Manero. Travolta would go on to play a character named Vincent in the hit film Pulp Fiction 17 years later. The white polyester suit worn by Travolta was purchased at a charity auction in 1979 by esteemed movie critic Gene Siskel. Siskel admitted that he had seen Saturday Night Fever at least 17 times and that it was his all-time favorite film. He had outbid actress Jane Fonda and purchased the outfit for $2,000. The interior was signed to Gene. So here's to a classic, your friend, John Travolta. It was later sold at a Christie's auction in 1995 to an anonymous fan of the film for $145,000. Karen Lynn Gorney is actually 9 years older than John Travolta, who was 23 at the time of filming, and 12 years older than her character she plays, Stephanie. Jessica Lange, Kathleen Quinlan, and Carrie Fisher were all considered for the role of Stephanie. Amy Irving was also a finalist before Karen Lynn Gorney got the part. Now, she does well in the role, but I intensely dislike her character.
So what'd you guys think of her?
Hey, Tony, I liked her. I thought she was nice. I liked her a lot.
Yeah? She's a snotty bitch, man. She's cool, you just gotta get to know her, that's all.
I actually think Donna Pescow was far more attractive, and she was considered too pretty for the role of Annette. She had to gain 40 pounds before filming to play the role of the infatuated friend-zoned girl. The film was inspired by a June 1976 article in New York Magazine by British rock journalist Nick Cohen. The article, titled Tribal Rights of the New Saturday Night, was a piece written by Cohen that spoke about the people of Bay Ridge and the disco culture at 2001. For decades, the article was reported as factual, but it was later determined to have been fictional. Nevertheless, it was inspired by Cohen's research of the American working-class subculture in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, as well as the disco club and acquaintances from his youth in Ireland and England. The original title for this movie was Tribal Rights of the New Saturday Night, but it was later shortened to Saturday Night, referencing the night Tony and his pals go to 2001 Odyssey. However, when the Bee Gees recorded a song for the soundtrack called Night Fever seemed like a better title to embody the movie's spirit. Director John Badham decided to add the word Saturday, and thus the final title became Saturday Night Fever. The film was rated R when it was released in December of 1977, and much of this movie is very graphic.
Hey, you know you assholes almost broke my pussy finger.
Oh, yeah, you would know which one it was.
I've seen young people on YouTube review this movie or react to it for the first time, and they're stunned at the graphicness, the swearing, the sex. You gotta remember, this was the late 70s in Brooklyn, New York. It was real, it was gritty, it wasn't pampered, it wasn't censored. It was a different time.
You told me you wanted to do it. You told me how horny a man gets when he's 19, how much his balls ache morning, noon, and night, 6 days a week, sometimes 7 if you don't get it.
How do you remember those things?
In fact, this movie is the first mainstream Hollywood movie in which the term blowjob was ever used.
Hey, Doreen, it ain't no blowjob.
Paramount was so eager to get a wider audience to the film, they edited 6 minutes out of it and gave it a PG rating and released that in 1979. This movie is an iconic time capsule of Brooklyn, New York life in the late 70s. One of the extras in the film was a teenage girl standing against the wall watching kids play as Travolta walks past. Her name was Moira Ann Smith. She later became a New York City police officer and was killed while helping people on September 11, 2001. In 2018, John Travolta was honored in a celebration at Lenny's Pizza in Brooklyn. He wore the famous trademark white suit and, of course, had his double-decker pizza slices.
This? Okay. Two is good. Give me two. That's good.
In 2010, this movie was added to the National Film Registry by the Library of Congress for being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. Now, I should add, this is not one of my personal favorite movies. However, because of its significance to American culture, and one could argue, American history, I will give this movie 10 out of 10 stars. I recommend that you all go out and get Saturday Night Fever.